Hi, I'm Steve Henson, Marketing Professor at Western Carolina University. If you're watching this video, you're either interested in the Fudan University Summer Program or you've already decided to go. If you have decided, welcome and congratulations. If you haven't decided, this video is to help give you some additional information or pull some different information together and help you make that decision. There are also two other companion videos, one with memories of a trip I made to China with a group of students about 5 years ago, and another short, brief introduction to me. China can be a little bit scary, and having someone there who has been there, both Aaron Wallace, who is a student who has been living in Shanghai, and myself, who has traveled there twice, including once with students, can make things a little bit less scary. So let's talk about the program. And we'll also talk about Fudan University, and we'll talk about Shanghai. In the other videos, we'll again talk about what you can expect in terms of being there and enjoying yourself. And I'll give you a little bit of information about me that'll help you see how the one course that I'll be teaching might fit in with your educational plans. Okay, here's the website for Fudan University's International Summer Session. It's at iss.fudan.edu.cn. And probably the first thing you'll notice is that while applications for summer session of 2014 are open, everything isn't updated. These are the same courses and professors that taught last year, and we assume many of them will be returning, and certainly the courses will be the same or very similar. But for example, I'm not on the little squirrel yet. A scroll yet, excuse me, not a squirrel. And kind of points out one of the things that makes China so interesting. In fact, you could pretty much make this statement about most of the rest of the world. Doesn't work on as long a time frame as we're accustomed to in the United States. They will have eventually probably a brochure for summer of 2014, as they have one here for summer of 2013. But chances are you'll have already decided and be here, or you may even be here when it happens. And it's just one of the things that you learn to live with when you travel outside the United States. Now, one thing you need to know about Fudan University is that it is an extraordinarily fine university. This is a ranking of the top 100 universities in China, and they rank 5th. To give you a comparison, the 5th ranked university in the United States is Stanford, which you probably have heard of, and a pretty darn good school. Even as we move to rankings worldwide, this is a worldwide ranking of all universities in the world, which is very heavily dominated by U.S. schools. You will see Fudan plugging in here and as they move beyond the top 100, they block people into groups of 50, and they're one of the schools assigned to the 150 to the 200th best schools in the world now. And we have a really interesting comparison for us in that they fit in the same category as NC State. Those of you from Chapel Hill or who are familiar with Chapel Hill does rank higher on this list. They're up at number 43 in the top 50 in the world. But Chapel Hill is an extraordinarily fine university, as is NC State. And so to see Fudan University ranked on a worldwide comparison with schools like Dartmouth, with schools like Erasmus in the Netherlands, Florida State. These are really fine universities, and Fudan certainly fits into that category as a really fine university. It's also a very modern and beautiful university. These are the Twin Towers that were built I think sometime around the year 2000. It's going to be real interesting for me to return here because each of these floors, and I think there's about 40 total floors if I remember correctly, has something on the order of 4 large modern classrooms and about 15 faculty or other offices. And the really interesting thing when I was there was while they had the money to build a building, they didn't have the money to run it. There was only one floor open out of this entire building because nobody had budgeted or provided money to pay for the electricity. It was too expensive. So they had this beautiful huge building sitting there empty. And that's not real uncommon in China, where so much of the economy is driven by government decisions that odd sorts of things happen. I assume when we return, we will find much more usage of this beautiful facility. Here is an example of the classroom that you'll be sitting in, and it should look very familiar to you. They're very modern classrooms. They have projectors and screens. You see a faculty hiding here in the background, as usual, and all of the things you'd expect from a fairly normal classroom situation. And the same can be said for the dorms, because while Chinese student dorms would not be particularly attractive, at least for me to live in, the international foreign university student dorms are much more consistent with the kind of modern dorms we're seeing on our campuses across the UNC system. So if you live in a relatively modern dorm, you can have a pretty good feel for what it's going to be like. There's going to be snacks around, there's going to be internet, there's going to be phones, most of the things you're accustomed to. Now, as Fudan is one of the world's great universities, Shanghai is one of the world's great cities. Um, Arguably, well, that's certainly one of the world's great cities. I'm not going to try to rank it any more than that. And here's a really fascinating set of pictures I found on businessinsider.com under Shanghai 1990 versus 2010. This is Shanghai looking from the end, or around the end of a large, I think it's right in here, pedestrian shopping center slash mall over to a peninsula across the Yalu River. And this is a enormously busy river with all of the barges, and you see the boats, and just the constant traffic up and down this river. And you see here basically a swamp with a building or two. Fast forward 20 years, and here is, believe it or not, look at the river, see the bend, exactly the same place. All of these buildings were built in a 20-year period, along with, and the perspective isn't exactly the same, because the historic district along the waterfront here, which is where the original Europeans formed relationships with China, still exist, but all of these back buildings have been built and added. In fact, I stumbled across the statistics. I hope I get it fairly accurately. Something on the order of 4,500 skyscrapers of over 50 stories were built in a 20-year period. And I'm pretty familiar with the United States and construction in the United States, because I lived in Atlanta during that period, where there was more building going on than almost anywhere. And in the entire United States, we might have had a dozen or two. And you can also, from this picture, gain a sense of the power, the emerging power, the excitement of China, the incredible pace at which this country works. And finally, I really love this picture because here's an I Heart SH. How they knew I was going to be using this video, and this certainly isn't my shopping. Somebody, I didn't shop this in here, someone else did. But it was kind of cool to find myself in a picture I was going to be using. Okay, you'll have some questions, I'm sure, about exactly what and when should I do. You should begin by talking to your own Office of International Programs and Services. Your title might be slightly different, but if you'll type in the name of your university, International Programs and Services, find out where those people are located, then if you haven't already talked with them, they'll have information and they'll be able to help you get started applying to the program. Also a very important resource to you is going to be uncep.org, where a nice lady, interim director, Catherine, let me go ahead and pull up Catherine Holderness. I was going to pull up her name and show it to you. But you can email here and get support. And the folks here are going to be very important to you in completing your application. While it looks like you should be able to just sign on and fill out the application, it's probably not going to be quite that easy to do. And finally, there's me. Here's a picture of me. If you can remember Western Carolina University and my name, you'll find me very easily. But you also have my email here, and if whether you've decided to join or not, or whether you're still in the process, I'd love to hear from you. We'll set up a phone call or a Skype call, and I'll answer any questions you might have. And then finally, just a few details about the program to talk about. Airfare and transportation, the $1,500 we used, according to where you're flying from, might be a little low now. That might be up toward, I think I just looked at flights and they were maybe $1,700. The tuition and application fees, though, are about $2,000, which, by the way, is about what you would pay for courses at your own university. In other words, if you decided to stay and take 2 courses during the summer, then you would be paying more than the tuition and application, the housing, and the meals. And the meals will be significantly less expensive in Shanghai. They'll also probably be much better food. One of my favorite things to do in China is eat and then eat some more. And I'll also say, as you're talking with your parents or as you're talking with your financial advisors, if you're paying for your own education, one of the ways to look at this is again that you're getting 2 course credits here. If you get those 2 course credits, then and you take another couple or 3 summer courses over your 4 years, you can actually finish a semester early in many programs. Your majors may differ in terms of the courses they require and the time they require in it, but certainly our College of Business majors here, if they can pick up 3, 4, 5 courses, if they bring in some courses from early college or from high school, you can find it very easily to finish a semester early and actually save about $12,000. So one way to look at this is, would I spend $4,000 to make it possible to save $12,000? And any other way you look at it, never again in your life will you have an opportunity to spend a month in China for basically the cost of an airplane ticket. Your room and board is going to cost you less than it would here, or certainly no more than it would here. Your courses are going to cost you the same as they would here, and so really your only out of pocket is the airfare. The only other thing I'd mentioned, I didn't before, but I will be teaching a course called Marketing Strategy and Management. It is a core course in most business programs. It's also a very popular elective across all universities in the system. And it's a course that if you want to, for example, if you want to balance one sort of traditional Western course with one Chinese culture course, which is what I would recommend, it becomes a course that would be entirely possible to fit into your own program, but also something that would be a little bit more consistent with the expectations from courses that you're familiar with. And I hope this has helped. And as I've said, please take a look at my memories from my last student visit to China. And if you're interested in taking my course, or if you'd like to know a little bit more about me, certainly get in touch with me, but you can also look at the brief biography. It'll give you a little bit more background on me. Thanks for listening.